Stuttgart, Germany, where hot off the press, we are bringing you coverage of last night's Helloween concert. Yes, we're joining Helloween's European tour, and that means interviews, videos, and live performances from all three bands on the bill: Skin, Bruce Dickinson's Skunkworks, and of course headliners Helloween. And we're also going to be checking out a studio live performance from Skyscraper and spinning the brand new video from Soundgarden. So there's no down on the upside on this show. Fresh out of the Longhorn in Stuttgart and into your living room, it's the Helloween European tour, and it's all being brought to you courtesy of Headbangers Ball.
Different things, but they all convinced that they're the ones to see. So they keep talking, they never stop, and the certain point you give it up. So the only thing that's left to think is this: I want out to live my life alone. Leave me be. They're pushing me from black to white. They're pushing till there's nothing more to hear. Oh, push me to the maximum. Shut your mouth and take it home. 'Cause I decide the way things gotta be. I want out to live my life alone. Leave me be. To do things on my own.
Okay, that was a classic video from Helloween kicking off tonight's edition of Headbangers Ball. They're topping the bill on this tour, and opening up for them, it's Skin, and we're meeting them first up tonight. I've got Mike and Neville joining me here in Stuttgart. So nice to catch up with you guys on tour. We chatted in the studio already, so nice to see you back. So just to start off with, really, this tour is a really good package. How have things been going for you guys?
Oh, it's been great. It's really sort of hectic. You get up about 3 o'clock in the afternoon, you go and eat, you go and shower, and then you're on stage. And then you've got another 4 hours to kill, go off to the next town. But the show's been great.
Good. Now, of course, like we said before, you've done really, really well in the UK already, and you have a really hardcore fan base in the UK. But when you come to Europe, I would imagine, because you're not so well known, probably the shows are a little bit more challenging. How do you approach the European audience?
Well, our approach to playing live is pretty much the same anyway. We just love doing it, and it's quite intense for us anyway. But it is quite a challenge. I mean, the audiences, or this particular audience anyway, obviously very heavy metal kind of fans. So I don't think some of them quite get what Skin are all about. But you know, it's going well. We win them round in the end. You know, they've been pretty good. You know, so it's just been great.
You can touch me, you can hurt me if you wanted to. You can break me, and you know it's true. Yeah. I spit on you. I spit on you. Yeah. I spit on you, man.
We just wanted the album to be more representative of our live show. You know, as I said before, the first album we'd never toured, and we developed into the live show that we are. So we just wanted a bunch of songs that when we were on stage, it was 100% us, and it wasn't no facade. It was just truthful. You know, when we go on, it's just a very intense show. You know, and I think the first album didn't represent that, and this album is much more us as we are now. It's, you know, it's when you come by the album, when you hear the album, you come to see a show, there isn't like a huge void between the two. You know, it's a much closer comparison.
But when you were writing the songs, were you thinking of the ones that were going to like get the audience like bouncing up and down and going crazy?
Yeah, I mean the writing process was took a long period of time. We wanted songs that we could relate live very, very easily. You know, but we wanted them to come from our heart. You know, so and the lyrical side of it is very much more truthful. You know, I guess we're a lot more darker than the original facade that the press wrote about us was.
Yeah. Well, we're going to talk about that in a moment, but right now we're going into Skin's brand new video. It's called Perfect Day, and just to get us into the video, what's a perfect day on tour?
Just to get to the gig more than anything else. It's like there's all these obstacles in front of you, not eating, you know, no sleep, being drunk. And then just to actually, so it's just to get through the show and make sure it's a good show. Once we come off of that, then nothing else really matters.
Right. Okay, well, from the album Lucky, this is the second single from Skin, Perfect Day.
Just wanna be
Well, that was Skyscraper performing live for Headbangers Ball back in the MTV studio, and I hope you're enjoying those live performances. I definitely think they are adding a new dimension to the programme. But Headbangers Ball is out on tour this week. Skin, Bruce Dickinson and Helloween coming at you tonight. Skin is still with me, and guys, you know, Skyscraper is a good example of a band that's adding a bit of new life and integrity into the British rock scene. What do you feel about what's going on in the UK at the moment?
Well, Skyscraper were great. When we went in and reviewed the singles for Metal Hammer, that's when I first heard them, and we then asked them if they wanted to do some shows with us, but I think the singer was getting married at the time or whatever, and so we couldn't do them. But I think it's really good. There's bands like Through Colours Red and whatever, you know, it's very, very good.
Definitely some names to look out for coming out of the UK. But going back to you guys, and talking about the new album Lucky, like we said, you have got a lot more serious, although you did write serious subjects on the last album. You seem to be remembered for one song, Look But Don't Touch. Taking that onto this album, if you had to be remembered for one song on Lucky, which song would it be?
Well, my favourite's Perfect Day. You know, it was the last song that was written. It was written in about 3 hours, and it was recorded in about 3 hours. You know, so it was actually the song, the speed it was done, the speed in the studio. It didn't take long to write. It didn't have to spend 3 hours on getting a snare drum sound, or 3 months getting a snare drum sound, as some bands do. You know, it was just in and out, and it's very representative of our live show and how we approach music as being energetic, intense, and in your face. You know, so that one's my favourite.
Yeah, I agree.
Short and sweet, but I mean, if you are writing about subjects like homelessness or drugs or whatnot, have you had your own personal experiences of those issues?
Well, have I ever been homeless? No. You know, but you know, when you grow up in London, you know, and you grow up on a council estate, then drugs and drink and all that stuff is an everyday occurrence. You either decide to take part of it or you don't. You know, I lost a lot of friends in that way. You know, so in that way, I feel I have the right to write about that. You know, but in terms of have I ever been a drug addict? No. You know, but
you've had experience of other people that have lived that existence.
Absolutely, family, friends. You know, lost them along the way. So, and that's where the writing comes from.
Right. And how is it to sing on those more serious subjects, but still keep the fun element in there as well on the live show?
It's great. I mean, just being the singer in this band is incredibly challenging, as you can imagine. I mean, I have a very traditional kind of bluesy kind of background, and to constantly turn up at rehearsals at any given time and to be thrown, you know, like a punky kind of vibe, it's great fun, you know, and it can get very intense, and it's very soul searching in itself, you know. You're almost like an actor kind of thing, just performing these different kind of roles, like, you know. But there's a certain tangibility to these lyrics, as Mike has just said, which gives it great integrity, and I'm really proud and happy to be singing on these songs.
Okay, well, thank you for hanging out with me today, guys, and I wish you lots of luck with the rest of the tour.
Thank you.
And you'll be seeing Skin again on the show, I'm sure. In fact, right now also we've got a live performance from down here at the Longhorn in Stuttgart. And then after the break, stay tuned, it's Bruce Dickinson's Skunk Works coming up next. But here, taking us to the break, Skin live.
You got your little house and your little car. Your life is so perfect. How lucky you are. You don't live in fear. You don't live in pain. You don't have to go away or sleep out in the rain. It could happen to you. It could happen to me. Yeah, yeah, yeah. So easy, so easy. You don't know how lucky you are. It's so easy, so easy. You don't know how lucky you are.
Helloween tour, you're catching the action from last night, Wednesday, this Thursday night on MTV, and right now it's time to get the lowdown on Skunk Works, of course, the band fronted by Bruce Dickinson. So welcome along to the show, Bruce. How are you today?
All right, a bit subdued in the throat department,
Yes.
but all right otherwise.
We need you to talk, but we'll keep it to a minimum. So,
Yeah.
actually, the first question for Bruce comes from a viewer, and it's actually from Peter Latimer from County Antrim. And Bruce, you've got the question there.
If I remember rightly, Helloween and Iron Maiden used to tour together quite a lot, and at that time anyway appealed to the same sort of people. With your new image, aren't you afraid of touring with a band which is certain to bring memories of you in various strange sorts of trousers, screaming about monsters flooding back? I never screamed about monsters flooding back.
But that is an interesting question, I think, because you're trying to get away from being called the ex-Iron Maiden frontman, and now you're touring with a band that was associated with that genre.
Yes.
But you must be happy about it to be here.
Well, there's lots of people, and they're all screaming, and they'll chant Skunk Works at the end of the show. So, as far as I'm concerned, whoever we play to, if it's bums on seats, not that the audience are bums, but you know, as long as it's people in the crowd and stuff, we don't really care. We've got to do this tour to get out the whole Skunk Works thing.
Right.
We're doing our own headline tour of Europe, and it's like September,
Right.
October, and Japan we're headlining, and England we're headlining. So we're just having loads of fun, and it's so different
Yeah.
to the Halloweeny show. You won't believe how different it is. Well, you probably will because you'd have seen it, but it's just like totally a different universe. So it's kind of cool because you come along and you get sort of the Halloween with the kind of the traditional thing and the flash pots and everything else, and then you get us with like lava lamps and weirdness and odd, like, all of us doing our Doors impression and just having fun, really.
So there you go, Peter. The answer to your question.
Is yes.
Yes. Now, you've called the band Skunk Works. It's going under a band name now, and Skunk Works is like a secret military installation where they build military aircraft. So my question is, in Bruce Dickinson's Skunk Works, what is your what is your secret weapon?
It's carrot juice.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's carrot juice. We have a juicer, Alessandro in particular, who's in charge of the juice.
Right.
So he makes up these concoctions,
Right.
and it's like the secret of eternal youth basically, and the ultimate vibe.
Sounds very healthy. Okay, we're going to check out a Skunk Works video right now, and the first one from the album. And sorry, I've just got to kind of do a good little demonstration for this. This is Bruce Dickinson, Back from the Edge. as support. A great package there, and a great package here on the Helloween tour with Skin, who we met earlier, of course, Skunkworks, and Helloween still to come. Bruce is here still to talk about Skunkworks, and you went on the last album. You went from being Bruce Dickinson to using a band name of Skunkworks.
Yeah.
Now that suggests to me that it's become far more of a band effort, and you don't want it just to be Bruce Dickinson with some backing musicians.
Yep. That's right.
Yes. But that was because you gelled through all the touring, and they all contributed a lot more to the record. And
Well, it was always the idea from the start that if it worked out, that it should become, a band. And apart from anything else, Bruce Dickinson is a really crap name for a rock and roll band. I mean, it is. So, I mean, Skunkworks is just a much cooler name, and I'm sort of basically unhappy about this idea of being a quote-unquote solo artist, because I mean, if I was, I don't know, some guy like like a Michael Bolton sort of thing, God forbid, sorry Michael, but if I was doing that, it sort of makes sense, but it's not. I mean, what we're trying to do here is like serious full-on rock and roll, and stuff that basically nobody else is doing right now. In that there's a lot of jamming goes on, there's an awful lot of interplay between us, and no night, I guarantee you come see Skunkworks and no night is ever going to be the same. I mean, really different every night. So it's great because we can flip from like Portishead to the Doors to like Purple to Soundgarden, and it's just like the universal language. There's no boundaries and there's no time barrier, and them being young is just sort of an accident, really. I mean, age doesn't really enter into it. They just happen to be an incredible bunch of musicians.
right, okay. Well, while Bruce is making a new start with Skunkworks, there's a band back in the UK who have sadly called it a day. It is, of course, the Almighty. They played their last ever show at the Shepherd's Bush Empire in London this past Tuesday, and lots of viewers have written into us and asked us to say adios amigos to the Almighty by playing a classic video, and that's what we're going to do now. Thanks to the Almighty for I think 7 or 8 years of killer music. Sad to see you go, guys, and good luck for everything you want to do in the future. And we'll check out the Almighty classic video. I'm so happy to see this again. Destroyed. About Skunkworks, and actually a viewer's question on the way again. It's from Karen Gibson in Middlesex, and she would like to know, do you feel that this album will finally see you losing the tag of ex-Iron Maiden frontman?
Yes.
You sound very positive about that, nice and hopeful.
I am. In fact, it's really interesting. This is the first time on this tour that we've ever played an Iron Maiden tune, which we did at the very last encore, last song, because we thought, we'll do it for a laugh.
That's great.
Yeah. And a load of pundits came up after 3 years of agonising about whether or not we should do it. All these kids came up after the last couple of shows and said, you don't need to play that song, we'd rather hear another Skunkworks tune, and they're all Maiden fans. I was like,
brilliant.
well, that's great, but
You're getting there.
no, it's definitely, I mean, this is so different to Maiden, so cool, so like out there, and so out of control sometimes that it's the best stuff I've done in donkey's years. I don't know, there's two ways of looking at music. One is that you're there to sort of, you're there to do music and you take stuff from the audience and, you make a living out of it and everything. And that's just taking, and that sucks. And the other one is that you're giving something back. And if you give something to people, they give stuff back to you and it just grows.
Yeah.
And Skunkworks is a really giving album. It's a really cool album, and it has a lot to offer.
Yep, very diverse.
Yeah, and there's nobody making music like this at the moment. Like what we're doing. Like what we're doing. Like what we done.
Time to rise,
Off the Press. We recorded it last night in Stuttgart, Germany, and you're seeing it this Thursday evening on MTV. And right now it's time to travel back into the time of the Oath with headliners Helloween. And as you can see, I've got Andy and Michael joining me here at the Longhorn venue. Welcome back to Headbangers Ball. Long time no see. Good to have you back. Just to start off with, really, this is a great package. Skin, Skunkworks and yourselves.
Right.
Were you guys actively involved in choosing the bands for the tour?
Well, actually, we have all the same management in common, Mr. Rod Smallwood and Andy Taylor, Sanctuary, and it was just a good idea to do this package then, because I think the people are very much interested in it.
Yeah.
And it's not only one kind of music, it's not only speed metal, it's not only poppy music, it's everything, and I think it's a good package.
Good value for money for the fans, definitely.
Hopefully.
Now, Michael, talking of the album, The Time of the Oath, this was your second album with Andy and Uli, and you did a massive world tour on the last record. That clearly contributed a lot to the success of this record, that you obviously gelled a lot as a band on that tour.
You may say so, and so we're all quite confident about everything, and things seem to work out all right. And well, all in all, it's been quite a good production time and all that, and so what's going on here seems to look quite successful and all that. I mean, so with all these bands we have here, we kind of share the lights and all that, and therefore we can offer really some nice output on things. Not in this particular place maybe because it's a bit small, but then in larger venues it's really looking like some. So we're all very happy in a way.
Now, on this new album, you all contributed to the songwriting, and even Uli came forward with some songs, and you wrote some songs. Now, that suggests to me that there was a much more open forum, that there was a lot of harmony in the band, and that you all felt that you could come forward and say, what about this?
Yeah, it's just a matter of what do we like most. So when we met in the rehearsal room, there were about 26 ideas on the table, and we picked out our favorites. And actually it doesn't matter who wrote it, because it's just a matter of what's Halloweeny. So, and yeah, I think we picked the best.
But I think you also pushed back the boundaries of what is Halloween.
Yeah, it's hard to say, because the band changed here and there, like the Chameleon and Pink Bubbles Go Ape album, and I think even the fans didn't know where the band will go. Like, it was something very unclear for the future, and well, I can personally only say when I came in the band, I had a certain clue where the band has to go, because I was a fan of the band, and I think if not the fans, who else should know where the band should go to? And so it was very easy, because the whole band trusted somehow Uli and me as the new members, because they all asked us, what would you do? And I said, well, certainly I would go like in the direction Walls of Jericho, which was the first studio album, and the Keeper ones. And yeah, it works out very good. Combined with those nowadays sounds, does a good job, I think, yeah.
Excellent. Well, we're going to see the first video from The Time of the Oath, and I think it was written, the song in question, by Michael.
No? Power.
Power. We're going to check out Helloween, and here they go with Power.
Try if you can't take out where we have gone.
is going to win the Best Video of the Year award at this year's Kerrang Awards, taking place in July. Get your vote in right now. And we're continuing our coverage of the Helloween European Tour. I've got Andy and Michael still with me. And continuing on about the time of the oath, it was inspired by the prophecies of Nostradamus. And I was wondering, whose idea was that? And was it easier or more difficult to write in like a theme like that?
I fear it was my idea.
You get the blame.
Yeah, it makes certain themes very easy because you got a clue. That's at least more than you have in normal non-concept albums. And whenever it came to the point that I really didn't know what to write about, I just picked up the certain mood of the song and tried to somehow write something parallel to Nostradamus, which works out very good, or worked out, still works out, because we're not doing some B-sides for the next single, so I'm still working parallel to Nostradamus. And well, overall it's a nice theme. It's surrealistic, realistic, mystic, and you never know what to think about. Maybe it's true, maybe not, and it causes these certain gooseflesh and goosebumps, you know, so I thought it's something 100% Halloween.
One more to count it. Wake up the mountain. All kind of slowly turn into gray. Our world is lonely. Wake up the mountain. And we will find it once more again.
I've always been the one who made up those goof lyrics, and so Steel Tormentor can be seen as a goof lyric because I mean you don't know if it's about dealing with cars or women, and so the whole lyrics are so exaggerated. So We Burn is a merely sexual lyric, and it's so overdone, so much over the top that it's already getting what's that called?
Embarrassing?
Whatever.
No? Whatever.
Yeah. Ridiculous, I wanted to say. And same with Kings Will Be Kings. It's got that arrogant outlook of, well, close to eternity I spread my wings and fly, or yeah, and all this, and you, I rule and you obey, and this is just merely over the top, and so therefore you can say it's ridiculous stuff. So it's meant in a comical way, but a subtle comical way, so to say.
Definitely more subtle. Okay, well, we're going to go down on the upside right now, check out the new video from Soundgarden, and I know there's loads of people out there that want to see this for the first time on Headbangers Ball. Soundgarden with Pretty Noose. Down on the upside, and we're still talking to Helloween, and the album in question here is their new album, The Time of the Oath, and has been said in some of the press and whatnot that it's kind of going back to the heyday of the Keeper albums in style as well, which was obviously kind of late 80s, but how do you think that you've kind of brought that on and updated it for the 90s as well?
Well, basically, I always think that the former guitarist and me by that time invented that style in a way. So the task was merely to get back to points where we've been before, and to give a further hint of what the future music of Helloween could be. Therefore, I always have that idea of creating new stuff that might not show that much on this one, but on the next one might, because this had to be a natural link in the whole thing. So with the next one I'm going to go out with a lot more aggressive riffs and guitar things and all that, even though I intend to satisfy all the people who so far have liked Helloween and all that, and so I'm not trying to make any real over-the-top experiments that's going to mix up people. So therefore this is all to be seen in a certain line.
So this is a transitional album to kind of an even more new Helloween sound.
I'd say we finally have to get to the point we should have gone to right after the Keeper records, which didn't happen because of internal difficulties and all that. And so, I mean, it takes 5 or 6 years to finally get there again. And this is what we intend to do next, because we got to be up to time and all that. Because there's a lot of people who say this might be old-fashioned or all this, but I mean, what in fact are we expected to do except Helloween? But I wouldn't call it old-fashioned anyway. This is just because people have different taste nowadays, and all this other stuff that's out merely reminds me of some supportive rhythm kind of thing for sportive workouts. Yeah, and I've always intended to do music, and that's what I still intend to do in the future.
Well, there's still a lot of heaviness there, and also a lot of melody as well, which are two very important ingredients. And like you said, you were the original ones doing this style of music, so I think that's a good point. Thank you for that, Michael. Even though he's only just woken up, he came out with that. So Andy, just quickly to finish with, what does the future hold? You made a new video for the title track.
Yeah.
We're going to be seeing that on Headbangers Ball very soon. You've got a few more weeks touring, then what happens?
Well, there will be 1 or 2 weeks off, and then I think we start out to play those Monsters of Rocks in Brazil.
Excellent.
Doing a live record.
Yeah, but that's before. That's during the tour. We record a live record. It's good
Fantastic.
to know. And a live video parallel to that. And then during summertime, America, like the Monsters of Rock. And I think 3 or 4 Monsters of Rock in Europe.
Fantastic.
And if it looks very good in the moment in the United States, if it goes on like this, then we add on some shows in North America after Brazil.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
Okay, well, lots of luck with everything. Thank you for joining me, and it's good that things are very happy in the Helloween camp. I think that's very obvious. Things are going well. So thanks for having us down on the tour.
Pleasure.
And that's just about concluding tonight's edition of Headbangers Ball. I want to say thank you to Helloween for having us down, also to Skin, and also Bruce Dickinson's Skunk Works for joining us, and thank you to Sanctuary Management for their support and for helping us out on this show. So that's it for tonight, and I do invite you to stick around for Into the Pit. That's still to come, but taking us there, we're going to check out the headliners Helloween in action live here at the Longhorn in Stuttgart. And do come and check out the rest of the tour. There's plenty more dates to come. See ya.
So, wir kommen jetzt zum interessanten Teil unserer Sendung. Unsere Studiogäste sind da. Willkommen bei Metalla, Helloween.
Ich will auch kommen.
Ja, stell dich doch einfach mal vor, wer du bist.
Also, das ist der Adam und das ist der Andy Deres von Pinkrin. Und das hier ist Michael Schreikart von Helloween.
Gut, also ihr seht schon, die Jungs sind sehr lustig, aber es gibt auch ernsthafte Fragen hier zu melden. Also das erste wäre, eure neue CD ist auf dem Markt und ja, sie ist draußen. Und sie hört sich ja so ein bisschen an wie Keep House the Seven Keys, ansatzweise vom Stil her. Habt ihr keine Lust mehr, diese...
Du meinst so wie zu Keeper-Zeiten?
Wie zu Keeper-Zeiten, ja, genau.
Waren wir zu der Zeit auch.
Ja, und was ist denn jetzt los? Warum macht ihr wieder so einen Sound? Irgendwie haben euch die letzten beiden Scheiben nicht gefallen oder wollt ihr einfach wieder Rock'n'Roll machen?
Ich habe ja schon immer in Interviews gesagt, irgendwie, dass ich mit der Pink Bubbles nicht so ganz zufrieden war. Und da ist uns ja auch der Emi-Mann auf den Kopf gekommen. Der hat gesagt, wir machen die mega Promotion hier. Irgendwie die erzählt, ihr mögt die Platte nicht oder vielmehr ich. Und das ist ja kein Wunder, ich habe da ja mit der Platte nicht viel zu tun gehabt. Und wir wollten eigentlich nur mal wieder Musik machen. Ne?
Und das bleibt jetzt auch bei dem Sound oder gibt es da nächste Platte vielleicht mal was ganz Neues? Helloween machen Grunge oder so?
Das Gute an CDs ist, dass die keinen Soundverlust haben und die wird vermutlich weiter so klingen.
Weiterhin so klingen.
Digital
Ja, für die Leute, die es nicht wissen oder die die neue Scheibe noch nicht gehört haben, zeigen wir jetzt einfach mal ein Video von Helloween und Helloween mit Mr. Ego. Power und Progressivmetal ist ja so ein bisschen auf den absteigenden Ast in der letzten Zeit irgendwie gewesen. Aber in Fernost feiert ihr ja auch noch riesengroße Erfolge irgendwie. Könnt ihr euch das irgendwie erklären? Haben die, gerade die Japaner, irgendwie einen besonderen Draht zu so deutschen Power Metal oder woran liegt's irgendwie?
Ich denke, die wollen schöne Melodien hören und ganz gut gemachte Musik. Und da bin ich eigentlich ganz froh drüber, dass ich in so einer Band bin, die sowas macht. Und das sind ja immerhin Stückzahlen um die 200.000. Was jetzt geplant ist in Japan, 140 sind es bisher nach 3 Wochen. Und Südkorea das gleiche, Malaysia, Singapur, alles gut. Und ja, hast du noch was?
Ja, so Europa läuft eigentlich auch klasse.
Eben, ist ja nicht
Das
nur.
sind jetzt 7 Ländern, so Top 25. Finnland sogar Platz 7, vielleicht sogar höher. Ich habe die neuen Charts nicht.
Also so
aber es
schlecht-
sieht klasse aus.
So schlecht kann man gar nicht sein.
Muss ich ganz ehrlich sagen, hätte ich nicht erwartet, weil so Pantera, Biohazard und sowas ist ja zurzeit angesagt irgendwie.
Das ist ja
Und
auch alles genau das, was wir nicht machen. Und da muss ja irgendwo jemand sein, der dann das macht, was wir machen. Sonst wird es ja keiner machen.
ja, und deshalb seid ihr da und da bin ich sehr froh drüber, dass ihr noch da seid. Sonst, sonst würden hier was der Geier wer sitzen und ich müsste hier einen Teufel beschwören. Nein, ist egal.
Ich kenne allerdings immer noch keinen Geier, der das wüsste.
Ach so. Ja gut. Es kommt aber noch eine moderne und gute Band auf Tournee und zwar sind das die Mega 4. Das ist ja ein Projekt von den Megalomaniacs und den Fantastischen Vier und die Megalomaniacs machen so den Metal-Sound und die machen nebenbei auch noch ihre eigene Musik, genau. Und in dem Megalomaniacs-Video seht ihr jetzt die Tourdaten Megalomaniacs und Dreamland. Die wildesten Gerüchte gegeben über den Ausstieg von dir bei Pink Cream 69 oder war es gar ein Rauswurf? Ich habe ja tolle Sachen gelesen, aber was war jetzt wirklich da los?
Ja, also musikalisch hat es überhaupt nicht mehr gestimmt. Persönlich wurde es leider auch ein bisschen sehr negativ und den Burschen kenne ich jetzt fast schon 7 Jahre. Und ja, bei den Jungs ging es parallel eigentlich ähnlich ab. Und dann hat er irgendwann mal angerufen.
Und dann hat er.
Und dann hat er mich gefragt und dann habe ich ja gesagt. Und jetzt bin ich halt hier.
Ja, gibt's noch Knatsch untereinander? Grüßt man sich noch auf der Straße oder? Nein, aber bei euch war ein ähnliches Problem gesangsmäßig irgendwie. Ich habe ja früher der alte Rock'n'Roll-Slogan, Bassisten sind Poser, mit denen kann man nicht arbeiten, aber anscheinend
Den
gibt's
hast
nur...
du erfunden.
Nein, den habe ich nicht erfunden, aber anscheinend gibt es immer Sängerprobleme. Der Herr Kiske war ja bei euch auch, ich sag mal, Herr Kiske, da gab es ja dann auch Problemchen.
Aber
Kannst
bei euch war er noch nicht.
Nein, bei uns war er noch nicht. Was war denn bei euch los? War es ähnlich?
Nee, also wollen wir gar nicht zu viel drüber verlieren, weil es gibt einfach verschiedene Menschen und es gibt verschiedene Ansichten und was ich auch schon gesagt habe, auch wenn man jetzt ähnliche Sachen sagt oder die klingen sogar gleich, ne, kann es oft sein, dass man wirklich was ganz anderes meint. Und ich denke mal so, wir haben einfach zu viel aneinander vorbeigeredet und so und das gab einfach auf Dauer dann, ja, weiß ich auch nicht, Problem, Knatsch, wie auch immer und jeder muss so sein, wie er ist. Er ist so, wie er ist und ich bin so, wie ich bin und die Band halt auch. Und ich will da keine schmutzige Wäsche waschen, aber es ging so nicht. Also wir haben uns alle nicht verstanden und das war irgendwann so geendet, dass wir uns vielleicht echt die Fresse eingehauen hätten und das will keiner und so weit muss das nicht
zu
gehen.
tun mit sowas. Ne?
Das ist alles so
Bis die beiden sich ausgeheult haben, gibt es noch eine Band, die heißt Helmut, nicht Helmut, Helmut. Und nein, sie hören sich ein bisschen an wie ein Helmet-Fanclub, hören sich auch musikalisch so an, sind aber etwas trashlastiger. Helmut mit Realtime. Natürlich auch, dass man fettfeist auf Tournee geht. Ihr kommt auch, tourt durch Deutschland, habe ich mir sagen lassen.
Tod durch Deutsch.
Tourt. Ihr reist durch Deutschland und spielt in Konzerthallen. Ist das so genehm?
Wir reißen durch Deutschland. Ja. Nee, wir müssen 15 Gigs machen, wir würden natürlich auch gern mehr machen. Und
Wann?
Weiß ich nicht.
So Mitte November, finde ich.
Ende November.
Mitte November bis...
Geht die Eurotour los, also Mitte November natürlich.
Nee, was? Anfang Oktober geht die Eurotour los. Echt? Ja.
Haben wir ja schon.
Scheiße, wir müssen gehen.
Also tschüss.
Nein, sitzen geblieben. Also Mitte November seid ihr in Deutschland unterwegs. Und für eine vernünftige Rockband gehört es natürlich auch, dass man einen schönen Support habt, also eine Vorband.
Haben wir nicht.
Wie habt ihr
Bisher
nicht?
jedenfalls
Das sind ja
noch
auch nicht vernünftig. Oder?
Ich weiß es noch nicht. Also bisher hat sich
doch eine Band
also alle, die uns interessiert hätten, wollen entweder selber Headlinen oder
Aerosmith.
ja, oder sind schon woanders irgendwie. Wäre gar keine schlechte Idee. Und oder sind
Und was
schon,
sagt John Bon Jovi? Hat er auch keine Lust?
Nein,
also,
der ist ja
oder
so alt wie ich, der hat genug zu tun.
Der hat genug zu tun, ja. Sieht finster aus, würde ich sagen.
Nee, ich sehe viel finsterer aus. Aber neulich hat einer gesagt, ich sehe aus wie eine Mischung aus Lemmy und Bon Jovi.
Hat er nicht so unrecht.
Ja, die Warzen, ja, sind gut retuschiert,
Die
ja.
Warzstoffeln.
Naja,
Ich
oben
war's,
Lemmy
ich
und
war's.
was?
Ja, bevor es hier ausartet, guckt euch einfach mal kurz wieder ein Video an. Spermbirds ist eigentlich sein Song, ne? You're Not Perfect.
Nicht der Adam, sondern bin der Michael von Helloween. Und ich wollte dich mal fragen, so als Moderator von Viva, wie ist denn das so?
Schluss aus.
Gibt es da nicht junge Talente, die vielleicht deinen Job übernehmen
Also ihr
können?
dürft, nein, danke, toll. Da reagiere ich sehr sensibel
Na, hör mal,
drauf.
wenn
auf
du
so
irgendwann mal
etwas.
alt bist.
Ich bin nicht alt, ich bin jung. Jung, ich bin so jung. So, es gibt jetzt noch abschließende Wörter. Ihr dürft jetzt beide noch was sagen.
Ja, wir wollten den Adam nämlich noch verlosen. Wer also seinen Nachnamen weiß, seinen richtigen, der bekommt nichts, sondern unter den falschen Einsendern werden dann eben halt ein Adam verlost. Dazu das Mikrofon, was er gerade trägt, und dieses herrliche Viva.
Reicht, Andi, du sagst auch noch mal was. Danke. So, das war's jetzt für heute mit Helloween. Es gibt natürlich noch das legendäre Abschlussvideo.
Jetzt noch ein Video.
Genau, nächste Woche seid ihr wieder dabei, Donnerstag 22 Uhr mit Talla. Und am Wochenende ist das Ruanda Weekend. Ihr seid natürlich auch dabei, denn da laufen eure Wunschclips. Ja, Abschlussvideo. Danke. Das Abschlussvideo für heute ist nämlich Freak of Nature mit Enemy. Ciao.